Detroit, Michigan, 1932. Two neighbors. One, a corporate lawyer from Yale, 12 years at a top firm. The other, a welder who learned his trade at 17 in the auto plants. Today, the lawyer is in a bread line. The welder is still working double shifts, fixing machinery. Most people think that's white collar versus blue collar. It isn't. The conventional belief, get educated, credentialed, climb the ladder, and economic storms won't touch you. Here's what 8 decades of economic autopsies actually show. Every major collapse in the West has inverted that hierarchy. Lawyers driving cabs, accountants selling apples, PhDs trading family heirlooms for food. But here's the part nobody tells you. Buried deep in labor market forensics from the Great Depression to 2008, and even echoes of Weimar Germany, the skills that actually survived aren't the ones you'd expect, and one of them isn't even a formal trade. Part 1. The repair economy, where collapse creates demand. Picture a garage in Cleveland, Ohio, 1933. The U.S. is in the depths of the Great Depression. Unemployment hits 25%. Banks are failing by the thousands. Middle-class families are losing homes and cars. The mechanic doesn't stop. Before the crash, he charged $2 an hour. During the worst years, the nominal rate barely moved, but demand exploded. Americans who once traded in their Model T every few years now needed those same cars to last. The welder or mechanic who could keep a 1928 Ford running became essential infrastructure, not a luxury. This is the first law of collapse economics. When people can no longer afford to replace things, the person who can repair them becomes critical. Data from the era confirms the pattern. Finance, law, and professional services collapsed. Skilled trades held steadier. In many informal or barter arrangements, their real value actually rose because supply of skilled labor contracted faster than demand. The same signature appears in Weimar Germany 1921 to 1923. As the Markite clerks and bureaucrats became worthless, but tradespeople maintaining physical daily life operated in a parallel barter economy, paid in food, coal, or goods that the monetary collapse couldn't fully destroy. Fast forward to the 2008 global financial crisis in the UK and US. When the housing bubble burst and credit froze, new construction and sales plummeted, but repair and maintenance surged. People deferred big purchases and fixed what they had. BLS data shows repair-focused roles proved far more resilient. Repair skills are anti-fragile. Most skills lose value in contraction. They ride the prosperity wave. Repair inverts it. The worse things get, the more broken things accumulate, and the more desperately people need someone who can fix them. You are counter-cycling the economy. In financial terms, repair skill is a long position on dysfunction, and dysfunction is always available. BLS projections through 2034 show this is an ancient history. Electricians projected to grow 9% with 81,000 openings per year. HVAC mechanics and installers around 6 to 8%. Plumbers and pipe fitters. Steady demand. These are resilience industries. The pipe is either fixed or it isn't. Infrastructure can't be fully outsourced or automated away in the field. Part 2. The most dangerous skill in history. Monetary translation. Here's the one they never put in the textbooks. New York or London, during the height of the 2008 crisis, informal networks and gray market players emerged. In the US, dollar liquidity shortages led to premium pricing in certain swaps. In the UK, with the pound under pressure and bank runs fears, people turned to alternative stores of value gold dealers, foreign currency handlers, even barter arrangers. But go back to Weimar Germany for the clearest picture. As the mark went from 75 to the dollar to 4.2 trillion, currency brokers in the gray market became some of the earliest consistent winners. They understood the mechanics between the collapsing mark and foreign currencies or goods that replaced it as real stores of value. They facilitated exchanges for ordinary Germans, desperate to protect savings. The Reichsbank couldn't stop them. During the 2008 crisis, similar dynamics played out in fragmented liquidity. those who could read price differentials across official banking channels, shadow markets, and hard assets held power. In the US subprime aftermath, some arbitrage between frozen bank credit and cash or alternative financing. In Britain, informal knowledge of exchange rates mattered. Every collapse creates a dual monetary reality. The official system dying stat enforced, visible, and the real system, informal, adaptive, parallel. The gap is where fortunes are made and lost. The person who can fluently operate in both, who understands the translation, holds power no crash can destroy. This is monetary translation skill. Ray Dalio's studies highlight the intermediate period of monetary fragmentation. Those who could read and operate across it captured disproportionate value. The skill isn't secret, it's rare, because almost nobody studies it before they need it. If you can facilitate that exchange for others, you're providing critical infrastructure. Part 3. The knowledge that cannot be inflated away. Rural Midwest or British countryside. 1930s, Great Depression. Urban professionals lost everything in bank failures and stock crashes, but families with practical food production knowledge fared better. In the US, home gardening and subsistence farming exploded. In Germany, small plots and preserved knowledge helped many households. You cannot confiscate the ability to grow potatoes or preserve food. You cannot inflate away fermentation or canning skills. Academic economists or city lawyers who bought rural land as a hedge but never learned to actually farm were often no better off. The soil was there, the seeds too, but the know-how when to plant, managing pests, storing root vegetables, that was the survival variable. MBE R-Style A analyzes, and historical records show households with active food production demonstrated higher resilience, less exposed to food price swings, less dependent on currency stability for calories, better positioned for barter when markets contracted. As global supply chains grow more complex, this local knowledge, once universal and now rare, is becoming undervalued human capital. Part 4. The skill that scales when institutions collapse. A doctor in 1930s America or Britain. With elite credentials, hospitals strained, supply chains disrupted by bank failures, the institutional system that turned medical degrees into income fractured. Many professionals faced sudden irrelevance or had to adapt informally. The central paradox. The more a skill requires institutional infrastructure, the more vulnerable it is. A medical degree needs functioning hospitals. A law degree needs courts. When institutions fail, credential-dependent professionals discover dependency. Yet the underlying knowledge, human biology, wound care, basic pharmacology, nutrition, shows extraordinary survival value. Those who could practice informally, using available materials, community networks, or improvised methods, retain value. WHO and historical studies of crises note, adapted medical knowledge helped maintain outcomes when formal systems buck. This ties all four skills together. They function independent of institutional systems. Repair needs no bureaucracy. Monetary translation needs no clearinghouse. Food production needs no complex supply chain. Applied medical knowledge needs no hospital. Each addresses a fundamental human need directly. The framework. Why your credentials are institution-dependent. Systems most likely to survive shocks are modular, able to decouple and function independently. Credentials are the opposite. Derivatives whose value derives entirely from the granting system. Harvard can't issue an MBA that works if the institutional context vanishes. These are not underlying assets. A skill addressing core human needs is the asset itself. BLS data across the 2001 recession, 2008-9 crisis, and 2020 shock shows skilled trades maintained employment far better. Not because trades are always superior in good times, but because their institutional dependence is thinner and more resilient. A plumber doesn't need a functioning stock market to fix a pipe. A financial analyst does. Today, with AI threatening 40 to 60% of routine cognitive white-collar tasks, credential-dependent workers face dual threats: tech displacement and stability, and institutional failure in crisis. The most resilient human capital isn't what maximizes income in good times. It's what retains exchange value across the widest range of conditions. History's lesson. from the 1929 crash to Weimar Germany, to the 2008 global financial crisis. Institutions fail. Credentials evaporate. The people who retain dignity are those whose skills solve fundamental needs. Without the failed system, repair isn't the backup plan for most of history. It was the plan. Monetary translation isn't speculation. It's the infrastructure of monetary transitions. Food knowledge isn't fringe survivalism. It's proven food security. Institution-independent medical knowledge isn't alternative. It's how medicine worked for most of humanity. You came thinking about recession-proof skills. The real question is institution-proof skills. The answer has been the same for centuries, demonstrated by American welders in the Depression, British gardeners in wartime, German tradespeople in Weimar, and countless others who figured it out the hard way. The skills that survive every economic collapse are the ones that never needed the institutions to begin with. History didn't teach this in school, but it's been teaching it in every garage, garden, and crisis.